Bring Her Back is about a brother and sister that uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. This movie is summed up by a perfect comment I saw, which said 10 out of 10 movie, horrible experience. Uh, because, you might notice the image I'm using for this video is not from this actual movie. This is from Paddington, which the foster mother in this movie, is also in Paddington. And I'm using that because that is a much warmer, nicer movie. And it's more fun to think about that than it is to think about this movie. But uh, just because this movie was a tough watch does not mean it was bad. Not at all. This is a spectacularly made movie, and it's certainly another win for Australian horror. I've seen this in Lake Mungo, which might be a tad overrated in my opinion, but certainly a lot of people do like that. A lot of the actors in this movie really brought their A games, honestly. Especially the kid who, a lot of the movie just depends on this kid coming off as kind of creepy and terrifying, who is just constantly staring off into the distance or into the camera, and it's just so perfect because he has like very minimal dialogue, and he really does do a great job of just looking very intimidating. The bald kid I'm referring to, of course. And then of course the foster mother, she does a great job. I mean, she is like the warmest, nicest, presence in the Paddington movies, and it shows a lot of range that she can go into this movie, and be very deranged. This movie is pretty crazy, and this review will contain spoilers for this movie, for Bring Her Back, which is in theaters currently. The movie also does a great job of making the audience care for the characters that are in danger, because the younger sister is blind and she feels all the more vulnerable to the things going on around her. And the brother, you know, a lot of his head is being messed with because this movie, deals with a lot of grief and how people deal with grief. And he's getting over the death of his father at the beginning of the movie, and there's a lot of things that are messing with his head, and a lot of things that he's very confused about, and it just it makes you really want them to succeed, and really you're rooting for them. The movie does a great job of framing and just showing you the impact, certainly of that one car crash. The way it was shot and the way the impact was shown and the crash and everything, it was so well done to show you like how it made you really feel the weight of that car crashing into it, and the sound design and everything. It's a really great movie, and the build up and it's really done supremely well. Where it kind of lacks for me is I okay, so the kid is like the brother in this movie is shown to be like he works out, he's taking that creatine monohydrate, he's working out, he's doing the bench press, lifting and everything, all right, lifting iron, pumping iron, everything, but he gets like at the end, like, okay, so massive spoilers, right? He gets hit by the car crash, and he's like fine, kind of, right? But like the lady, she comes in and she like kind of takes advantage of the moment, and she's able to, basically, uh, drown him, I guess. Which I did not buy that. I was just like, oh my goodness, dude! You're telling me this guy who already overpowered her in an earlier scene got really got drowned by her, and it was just like it was horrible. And I was like constantly hoping that he would come back, but he just doesn't move. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of crazy. I was like really hoping for some like unexplainable anime comeback from him, but it doesn't happen. And he just stays unconscious. I'm gonna say unconscious because I'm just gonna assume in my head canon that after this movie ends, he does actually he comes back to life. They bring him back. Yeah, instead of bring her back, it was bring him back. They bring him back, and it's a lot nicer that way. But yeah, that was one thing, and we'll get to another thing that I had, I had a little bit of an issue with. But one thing that was cool were like the moments of those disturbing videos sprinkled throughout the movie, with that the lady is constantly watching to remind herself how to do what she is doing, and rewatching it to make sure the rituals go right and stuff. And I think it's a very clever way of providing the audience with the necessary exposition to understand what she's doing and why. And I think it's done very cleverly. But one thing I didn't like is, you know, at the end, it's not her being thwarted by the boy or the sister that, destroys her plans and whatnot. It's just her lack of resolve. And it's just like, man, listen, she needs to be taken down, dude. At the end of the movie, she's just like in some pool and she's just chilling. So it's like, oh, come on. You know what I mean? I was just like, as an audience member, I certainly did want the the heroes to come out on top, and I wanted them to kind of overcome this obstacle, this hurdle. But it didn't happen, and that's led to a lot of like very stunned audience reactions, right? I've seen a lot of people say like when they were in the theater room, it was just complete silence. When I watched it, it was just me and two other people, so that I was there with, right? So I couldn't really gauge how the other audience members were feeling. But certainly, this movie is it's a tough watch. There's some very brutal scenes, like seriously, especially with kids and stuff. So it's like it's kind of a tough watch, but it's very well done. There are a couple things here and there. I'll just like whatever. But it's there's so much good in this movie that I think it's definitely worth checking out. And I haven't seen their first movie called Talk to Me, but certainly, I think I am going to check that out soon because it's certainly interesting, especially because I'm pretty sure the directors started out as YouTubers. That's what I heard, and I thought that was pretty cool, really. But yeah, certainly this movie is really good, and I think this movie deserves an A minus. This movie is really, really well made. There are a couple things, for me personally, a couple things that like a couple times, I think they could have easily just gone to the cops and the movie would be over. But that's the bad thing. Then the movie would be over, right? We do need a plot to happen. Uh, but yeah, there are a couple things that just didn't sit right with me. But this movie is so well made, and I can just compliment it all day long. But yeah, certainly this was a great movie, and I do think you should check it out, especially if it is in theaters near you. But yeah, do let me know what other horror movies you want me to check out, and what are some of your favorite horror movies, and maybe I'll review them on this channel. Please do like and please subscribe.